everybody. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. Today is the Friday Listener DMs. I'm going to get to those in just a few seconds, but before I do, first off, let's bring in the great Anna Almeida. How are you, Anna?
I'm good. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We had a great conversation on our radio show this morning. Light 92.1 is where you can hear us in the morning all across Southern Ontario. 92.1 FM. If you're going to propose over the holidays... Is the ring the gift, or do you have to buy something else? And I'm not asking for me. This is a Reddit thread, and people were shaming a guy because he didn't also have a gift to go with the $8,000 ring he bought for his now soon-to-be fiance.
Yeah, so according to the poll, and also I felt like maybe, get her something small to go with it. And the only reason I say that is to throw her off so she doesn't think she's getting engaged. That's what I think. But a lot of people actually thought that he was being cheap and tried to combine two things in one, so he got out of buying her a gift.
I don't think that he timed his proposal to do it at Christmas to avoid buying her a Christmas present.
Yeah.
He's dropping almost 10 grand on her with taxes. I mean, When is 10 grand not a good enough gift?
To be honest, if I were in that position, if I were getting engaged, I pretty sure I'd be just ecstatic that I got this ring and that this next step in my life would be happening. I don't think I'd be thinking about all the other gifts that I'm getting. If I really want something anyways, I just buy it for myself. I'm at that point in my life. So the ring is just a nice little bonus of commitment if we get there.
Well said. And can we agree a Christmas proposal is not for everybody? Not everybody wants that.
No, never do it. If we're together, never propose to me on Christmas, Valentine's Day, nothing. I cringe. I get awkward and I just seize up. It's not the right thing. Too much pressure, too, on you to propose if the family's there and everything. That's a lot.
What if they say no?
Oof.
There's pressure to say yes when family in particular are watching. I mean, it's a big yikes moment.
I would say yes if I didn't want to, if there was family there, just to be polite, and then I'd crush his soul later. Honestly.
What a great way to put it.
Right?
Hey, before we get into the DMs, can I do a quick segment on immigration?
Please, yeah.
Okay, so this has come up so many times over the last number of years because here in Canada, much like the U.S. did under Joe Biden, we have an open door immigration policy. Basically, we're not just letting people in, we're encouraging them to come here. And that's weird because it puts a huge strain on all of our social services that Canadians need. And the government doesn't seem to get it. They don't seem to understand why people have had enough and want the immigration dialed back. We have an immigration minister here in Canada who I've played examples of her before in the podcast, Anna, where I think people who hear this would cringe that this is our immigration minister. I've got a couple of great examples. I'm going to play one. This is Conservative Member of Parliament and the Conservative immigration critic, Michelle Rempel-Garner. She's a member of Parliament for Calgary Nose Hill. Here's her questioning the immigration minister about a couple of policies. Listen to this.
Why are you still giving TFW work permits to fast food restaurants in major urban centers? That's crazy.
Again, as I explained before, the ESDC goes through and decides where we have labor gaps. People who are getting these, businesses who are getting these have to go through an LMIA assessment.
Did you tell Patty I'm a little uncomfortable issuing these permits? We have a 20% youth job crisis. I am not going to give Tim Hortons in urban centers work permits. We should change the program. Have you said that to your colleague?
Any employer that receives these goes through a strenuous process where they have to show they cannot find as well. It's 1% of our target.
But there's a lot of fraud in that, and I have a hard time believing that a fast food restaurant in downtown Toronto needs a TFW for basic work. So have you made any effort to close the program off? Like if you said, hey, maybe we should bet on Canadian kids and scrap the program?
We're always betting on Canadian kids. That's why we have what we have. As in terms of facts, there's a 70% decrease
that
in the temporary foreign worker permits in low-wage industries.
Thank you, Minister.
Can you believe that, Anna?
First of all, I was like, get the words out, woman.
That's our immigration minister.
That was tough to hear.
She sees no issue in a Tim Hortons in a major city like, say, Brampton. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they can't find a single Canadian that wants the job, so they want permission from the government to hire a temporary foreign worker. And the government is letting them do it. Nobody is saying what Michelle just said and what all of us are thinking, That's ridiculous that you can't find a single Canadian in Brampton that wants to work at Tim Hortons and you need to import somebody from another country. It doesn't add up. But the government's approving this kind of stuff.
It's frustrating because I have somebody in my life, my nephew, I've talked about this before, and he's been trying to get a job and he can't get the foot in the door. It's so sad. It's so sad. Back in my day, I could have almost 3 jobs. It would be no problem to get work. And now you can't even get a response back if you apply at like a McDonald's or a Tim Hortons. I just don't understand why.
It's terrible. And the new unemployment numbers came out today. No surprise, because the Bank of Canada is about to do an interest rate announcement. StatsCan says everything is great. We created 54,000 new jobs last month. I feel like we need to disband StatsCan because they're completely reliant on government funding. And I think they give the government the stats the government needs to do whatever it is they want to do. I don't trust a single thing that comes out of StatsCan. And by the way, when they publish 54,000 new jobs created, you got to dive deep into that because it was actually almost 10,000 full-time jobs lost. It was a lot of jobs created for part-timers and young people. So it's not an accurate representation, but people see the headline and they think, oh, well, I guess everything's great. I don't know anybody who doesn't know somebody who either lost their job or is the partner of someone who did.
Yeah, honestly, it's been that way now for some time. And I think when I saw that headline come through, I was like, really? Where are these jobs? Who are these people? I need more information. Your headline is not going to just get me like this and feel like, oh, I'm so happy. Happy Friday. No, I need to know the facts. What's going on here?
Are these temporary foreign workers that took the jobs or are they Canadians who took them? One more from Michelle Rempel-Garner questioning the immigration minister, this time in the House of Commons. Listen to this.
My colleague asked why she was allowing one-click citizenship ceremonies, which, to repeat a famous line in the House, we found on your website. People get their citizenship by doing a virtual ceremony and clicking a box. That's what we're talking about here. This is she. I cannot believe she's still the minister. Will she end one-click virtual citizenship ceremonies?
Virtual citizenship ceremony were started during the time of the pandemic. We all know during COVID, life shifted. Even in this parliament, we now have the voting app, for an example. So we're always looking for opportunities to celebrate our citizenship, to bring people together, to celebrate and build Canadian economy and make it strong. And we will continue to do that. Thank you.
Isn't that preposterous?
But it's not even COVID anymore. Get with the times. It doesn't make any sense.
Left-wing governments around the world are trying to import as much of the third world to our country as possible. They import them for voters. It artificially inflates our GDP. And there's a whole bunch of other reasons that they do it. That's how little they value becoming a citizen of Canada. That's how little they value it. You can come here, you sit through a 5-minute webinar, check the box, and you're a Canadian citizen. It used to be you had to go to a ceremony. You had to swear an oath. You had to sing "O Canada." You had to do all these things. Now, citizenship just doesn't mean anything.
Oh, that's so sad. My family, when they became Canadian citizens, that was such pride for them to stand there along others and sing the national anthem, and they were so proud.
Well, I'll tell you, it wasn't always like this, and left-wing governments didn't always feel this way. Can I take you back just a little bit? I'd like to play for everybody. Before he went completely cuckoo, this is U.S. President Barack Obama explaining the way things should be done.
This is not going to be a free ride. It's not going to be some instant amnesty. What's going to happen is you are going to pay a significant fine. You are going to learn English. You are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally. But after you've done these things over a certain period of time, you can earn your citizenship. So that it's not something that is guaranteed or automatic. You've got to earn it, but over time, you give people an opportunity. Now, it only works, though, if you do all the pieces. I think the American people, they appreciate and believe in immigration, but they can't have a situation where you just have 500,000 people pouring over the border without any kind of mechanism to control it. So we've got to deal with that at the same time as we deal in a humane fashion with folks who have put down roots here, have become our neighbors, have become our friends. They may have children who are U.S. citizens. That's the kind of comprehensive approach that we have to take.
Yes.
He's right.
Yes.
He's absolutely right. But like I said, it became a priority of left-wing governments to flood their countries with as many people as possible that shouldn't be there, completely devaluing citizenship. Now, maybe you don't trust Barack Obama on that one. Let me go even further left-wing. Okay. Someone who is now all in favor of open borders and all these crazy policies didn't used to feel that way. Here's U.S. Senator Bernie Sanders on CNN.
And that gets us to the immigration issue. If poverty is increasing and if wages are going down, I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
I'm going to cut it off there because I think everybody gets the point.
Yeah.
This is an agenda from left-wing governments to try and flood our borders with people who are not supposed to be here. And you know what? It is not unpatriotic. It is not racist. It is not any of those things to feel like what is going on is not appropriate. It's not a good use of our resources. And frankly, when we've got Canadians that can't get jobs, that are waiting 12 hours to get into an emergency room, and so on and so forth, it is wildly irresponsible to flood this country like the liberals are doing. But that's exactly what they're doing. On TV, they'll say, everything is fine. We're not doing that. But behind the scenes, all the numbers contradict that. So everybody, you should know it is going on. There are fast food restaurants in Toronto that are applying for temporary foreign workers, and the government is granting their applications. It's nuts.
It's ridiculous. It's not needed. Support your own that are here that want the work and to pay the bills. It's such a tough time. You're making it even harder for us, and we see it. We're on to you. I mean, let's make better decisions, people.
All right, Anna, let's get into today's listener DMs.
Are you ready? There's a lot.
Is there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm good.
Okay, we're going to start off with Marco. Hey, Scott, I just wanted to send an early congratulations on the success of your podcast. Saturday will make 1 year since the first episode. I want to thank you for everything that you do. I never understood how important politics was since listening to you. I used to go in blind when voting based on who I thought I would like better and not the policies. I wish you all the success and keep doing what you're doing. I haven't missed an episode yet, and I don't plan on it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. The Spotify Wrap came out, and it's only the Spotify numbers. That doesn't include all my listeners on Apple Podcast and the various other apps. iHeartRadio is another one where I've got a lot of listeners. But just on Spotify, 7.4 million minutes listened to Scott Fox After 9 in the first 11 months of this year. That's pretty amazing. Anna, there's a lot of people listening to you right now.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm just riding off these coattails. Well, can I ask you, because I do listen to you on my Apple podcast format. So is there any difference for you whether people listen on Apple or Spotify or iHeart? Like, does it benefit you either way?
So the only one that doesn't really help me is YouTube. And I wasn't going to put After 9 on YouTube, but I made that decision to do it probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And I don't promote it a ton. When someone listens on YouTube, that doesn't count towards my overall downloads. Only the apps like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon. I got a lot of people that listen through Amazon, cool. Which is great. I don't really care how you listen. As long as you listen, that's what's important. From a bragging rights standpoint, to total up all the listeners, I got to do everything plus YouTube. And there's not a ton. There's like 300-400 a day that listen on YouTube, but and thousands more on the apps. But YouTube's the only one that doesn't really benefit me, but it does benefit me. And frankly, I'm not doing it for the numbers. I'm doing it because I'm getting a message out there and I'm trying to provide a service to people for free. So however you listen, as long as you listen, I appreciate it. But specifically, any of the apps are the best ones for me.
Okay, perfect. Because, I have you on Apple. All right. Well, next up, we have Lisa. Hey, Scott, I was listening to yesterday's pod. Great job, as always. When I saw Carney was going to be getting in, I instructed my financial advisor to move a ton of money into Brookfield and Westgate and Westinghouse. He agreed. And since May, I have made $44,000 on investments.
Wow.
So if you can't beat them, then you might as well join behind them is my motto. Another question, is HST still being added to new builds for homes under $1 million and first-time buyers? I have heard this being removed, but can't find it anywhere. Is it actually happening?
Okay, first off, I think that's a great investment. I don't know how much you put down, but when you pull out $44,000, that's a pretty good ROI.
Yeah.
Good for you. And frankly, you're right. Carney's making himself rich right now. There's absolutely zero way to deny it. Mark Carney is making decisions that are making Brookfield very wealthy, and he still has a lot of stock in Brookfield. So he's indirectly enriching himself. You might as well get in on it too. It's a publicly traded company. If you want to buy a stock, I don't know why you wouldn't consider Brookfield unless the stocks themselves are just too expensive. And I don't think that they are. So good investing. When it comes to HST on new homes, that's a great question. And I find a lot of contradicting information. I know that it's been discussed and it was a campaign promise. I believe it was in the budget, but the Ontario government was going to do some and then the federal government was going to do others. Best to just double check with your realtor or your real estate lawyer. I don't think we're charging HST, but I also don't think there should be HST on a home anyway. HST is a spin-off. HST is the harmonized sales tax. It combines the provincial and the goods and services tax, GST. Why, in what universe is your home, your primary residence, a good or service? There should be no GST on it, period. Full stop.
Yeah.
The government is taxing us so much. You know that in the new year, the cost of alcohol is going to go up again. More taxes because they put it on an escalator tax and they linked it to inflation. When the alcohol tax goes up in the new year, more than 54% of the cost of a beer will be tax. More than 54%. If you pay $10 for a beer, it should cost you less than $5. That's how much the government is taking per drink. Think about the astounding amount of money coming into Ottawa's coffers, and they still can't balance a budget.
That's what I was going to say.
These people are lunatics. They do not know how to manage money, and the day they're finally gone and we start righting some of these wrongs and cutting some of these taxes is going to be a glorious, freedom-filled day in Canada. But until then, we're living in hell. We are.
Yeah.
And I don't say that to be unpatriotic, but facts are facts. They're taking half of our money in income tax and then an astounding amount off of anything that's a sin tax. Like, God forbid you smoke cigarettes. You're an adult. You made a choice to use a legal product. You're now paying $20 a pack, and almost all of it is taxes. You can go to the First Nations reserves and get a carton of cigarettes for $13. Wow. Or off the res, you can buy a pack for $20, where it's almost all tax. This government is drunk on spending, and they do not understand that the more they tax people, the harder the economy is going to fall.
Yeah, I always just feel bad going somewhere and then I see a really elder person behind the clerk's desk and serving me because I'm like, you can't afford your life anymore.
No. The amount of seniors that can't make it work anymore.
It kills me.
Their pension also hasn't kept up.
Yeah.
And they worked hard for that.
I know.
They should be enjoying their golden years. But the cost of living is so high. And I know people like, Ian, myself included, I point at places like the Bank of Canada and the grocery conglomerates and stuff like that. The single biggest thing impacting our cost of living is taxes. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest issue. People talk all the time, Anna. One more on this tangent because I love this topic.
No, it's true.
I've talked about it may seem counterintuitive, but people got to stop cheering for wages to go up because when wages go up, the cost of everything goes up. That grocery store is not just going to voluntarily pay every one of their employees an extra $1 an hour, $2 an hour. Over the course of a year, that adds up to a lot of money, and it comes back to us, the consumers who shop there. So when we're willing salaries to go higher and hourly wages to go higher, we're just increasing our own cost of living. What would make more sense is rather than bump somebody from $15 an hour to $17 an hour, leave them at $15 an hour and take less taxes off their check. If they actually made $15 an hour, they'd be great. But the government gets their cut and it screws everybody over.
It's terrible.
It is terrible.
It's terrible. All right, here's Jordan. Hey, Scott, longtime listener since 2009. I was listening to the pod this morning and thinking about the Algoma Did I say that?
Algoma.
Thank you. Algoma layoff. So instead of giving the company money, we could have offered workers 2 years full of wage support if they were laid off. Even at about 50,000 take home each, roughly around 90 to 100,000 jobs, they'd have time to retain, find new careers, and cover their bills. Even if every worker used the full 2 years, we'd still save about $200 million, and most would likely move to a new career. Quick, just a thought while listening to your podcast, and keep up the great work. And that is from Jordan.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm trying to think. 2009, I would have been doing mornings on Z1035 back then.
See?
Great. Yeah, we have to stop corporate welfare. The government stroking billion-dollar checks to private companies, those days have got to end, because we've seen what happens. Stellantis took $15 billion, laid off 3,000 people, and then just dropped $13 billion investment into America to hire 5,000 Americans. That's our money they're taking. Mm-hmm. Stop giving them money. Algoma, $500 million. They laid off 1,000 people. How ridiculous is that? What this person here is suggesting is, you know what, we're not going to give these private companies money. If anything, we should have bought Algoma and made it a crown corporation. That would have made a hell of a lot more sense, good value for our money, if we were going to give them money. But no more corporate handouts. You want to do something? Directly subsidize the wages of workers. If they lose their job, okay, the government's got you. You get EI on steroids for the next up to 2 years, whatever it takes you to find a job. We would spend a lot less. The people would be well served, and we could guarantee that our tax dollars were not going to bonuses for executives at private companies. You bet your ass none of the executives at Algoma lost their job. They probably all got 5- and 6-figure bonuses, while 1,000 people lost their job. This Algoma situation stinks. I know they think they're the victim of bad PR. No way. Algoma, I think they've got a lot to answer for. And I want our money back, by the way. You can't take $500 million in tax dollars, lay off 1,000 people, and then come back to the Canadian people and say, well, you guys got a good deal because it could have been worse. You can F all the way off.
Okay, well, we're going to keep with Algoma. So Rob says, hey, Scott, I did some digging on Algoma and was surprised to see that their revenue is just over $500 million a year. If they needed $500 million to upgrade equipment or face layoffs, they were basically insolvent. In theory, Canada should own Algoma since we gave them more than they'll make this year. They had 2,700 employees. If the government had paid each one $100,000 for a year to retain, it would have cost $270 million. We'd still save $130 million, end up nearly 3,000 workers trained for in-demand industries. And those 10,000-hour listeners are and this is something else. And those 10,000-hour listeners are amateurs. Talk to us when they hit the 12,000 hours. Ha ha ha. Enjoy your upcoming time off. 2026 is going to be a great start. 2026 is going to start off messy. And I think it's just because of the world.
It totally will. You know what? I love that so many listeners are not just accepting what the news tells them, and they're doing the work. And AI makes it a lot easier too. How much would it cost to just pay the salary of those 1,000 people for a year? Okay, do the math. It would have been a lot cheaper to take care of them directly than give $500 million to Algoma so that they can buy new equipment with less employees and reward themselves all with bonuses. I did not know that Algoma was only doing $500 million a year in sales. So we gave them an entire year's worth of sales. We didn't buy something from them. We didn't give them the money saying we're prepaying for $500 million worth of steel that we're going to need down the line. We just gave them a corporate handout, and they still laid 3,000 people off. Rob's right. It would have been cheaper to buy Algoma. Sounds like they basically were insolvent. If 1 year's sales was going to put them out of business, that's what they needed to stay afloat, then we should have just bought them and made them a crown corporation. The taxpayers got nothing for this except 1,000 more people without a job that now aren't paying taxes. It's complete nonsense. And these people in Ottawa that don't even read contracts before they sign them, that involve multi-billion-dollar deals, they've got to go. They're incompetent. This falls directly on Melanie Joly. This is her lane. It's also Doug Ford's lane, too. And frankly, I can't understand why we would sign these deals with no guarantees to bail out companies, and they're going to use the money to pay corporate executives. It's nonsense when 1,000 people lost their job. Algoma, you need $500 million just to stay afloat? Tell you what, here's $500 million. Piss off. This is now a Crown Corporation. We own it, and it's going to make steel for every project across Canada that we need done. And it's going to make it even cheaper because we own it for the taxpayers. That's how Canadian taxpayers get good value, not just stroking a check and hoping for the best. We have incompetent people running this country, Anna. Incompetent.
Well, Nick writes, "Hey Scott, I just listened to today's pod, and I really feel for most of the 1,000 people being laid off. Hear me out. Some people who voted Liberal will keep voting Liberal unless something directly affects them or someone close to them.
That's true.
If someone voted Liberal and then loses their job or ends up at a food bank, maybe that's when finally they'll make them realize this government isn't helping the middle class. For those who didn't vote Liberal, I genuinely feel awful for them. But if some Liberal voters have to go through tough times for Pierre and the Conservative Party to win a majority, maybe that's the price Canada ends up paying. A lot of people are struggling regardless of how they voted, but Conservatives try to warn everybody that the Liberals under Carney would be just like this or even worse than Trudeau's government."
Yeah.
So that's from Nick.
Nick, okay, a great point. I don't want to see anybody suffer in the middle class, full stop. But there's some people who just need to learn a lesson the hard way. And Conservatives for years, way back to like 2 elections ago, have been telling you how bad things are getting. We've been flagging these things for you. We've been pointing out immigration issues for years, and people don't want to hear it until it directly affects them, and then they get angry. Justin Trudeau, by and large, had pretty good support for the first 8 years that he was prime minister. Those last 2, though, the entire country turned on him because everybody started to feel it. But then they got brainwashed. Like, okay, well, Carney's different. He's not Trudeau. And okay, I'll give him a shot too. Okay, well, get run over by the train a second time then. Maybe when you have nothing, then you'll realize this country needs to go in a different direction with a different set of priorities and different policies. I hate to say it, but some people just need to learn the hard way. What sucks is the rest of us we're wondering how much longer it's going to take to figure it out. 1,000 people lost their job 3 weeks before Christmas. 3,000 people at Stellantis. Every day, there's more and more people losing their jobs. What will it take for you to lose your job before you think, maybe we should do something differently? I mean, it's a serious question. I'm asking you, what's it going to take to make you change your mind if you still want to give this government the time? Because I gave them time, and they lost me somewhere around the end of September. Around the end of September is where I thought he's had enough time to do something, and he's done nothing. And there were a couple other things that made me really skeptical about Carney. So I'm done. I'm just waiting for everybody else to come to the same conclusion that many of us already have. We got to go in a different direction. Back to something that the previous person messaged, the 12,000 Minutes Club.
Yeah.
I've seen, I think, about 20 people that have messaged me they're Wrapped that are more than 10,000 minutes listening this year on Spotify. I only saw a handful of them that were over 12,000 minutes, and he was one of them. So,
Rob,
I didn't put out 10,000 or 12,000 minutes of content. So you had to have listened to some episodes more than once, and that's amazing. So thank you.
Yes. Okay, so the last one was from Nick. Now we're moving on to Marty. Hey, Scott, congratulations on such an amazing and successful podcast. I just wanted to make a comment about today's pod. How in the hell can Mark Carney lie to our faces and say that Canada is thriving after all the layoffs and rising prices? Is mind-blowing.
Because he's got 2 things going for him. He's got all of the government bureaucracies that are going to run cover for him. I used the example earlier, StatsCan. The Canadian people don't even know how bad it is yet. Unless you go looking for this information, you're not going to find it, because also running interference for Carney is the mainstream media. They're not covering how bad it is. If this was a Conservative government, and we had 2 million people using a food bank, they would have reporters at every food bank in the area 24/7 covering that. How bad life is under the Conservatives. They don't do that when life's that bad under the Liberals. And by the way, that wouldn't happen under a Conservative government, because the government would be taking a lot less tax and people would have a lot more money in their pocket. So that's the difference. But Carney can come out and say whatever he wants, and whether it's true or not, the media is going to cover for him, and he's got organizations like StatsCan that are going to put out the numbers that can almost convince you that what he's doing is a good thing. It's not a good thing. There's some important people here. Listen to our parliamentary budget officer. I know he's interim, but he's speaking facts and he is sounding the alarm. We've got good politicians on the other side of the House of Commons that every day stand up and try and flag some issues. I played Michelle Rempel-Garner earlier. That's a real, reasonable question. A politician should be allowed to question a member of government and say, wait a second, what do you mean a Tim Hortons in downtown Toronto can't find a single Canadian willing to work and they need to import somebody from the third world to do that job? It's nonsense. It doesn't pass the smell test. But these politicians are just like, well, this is it. It's only 1% of our target. And if they said they need it, then we believe them. And it's nonsense. Like, there's just no common sense being used in government, or they're choosing to ignore the facts so that they can do what it is they want to do. They have an agenda. It's an open borders agenda. It's the exact same thing as Joe Biden was doing in America, except we don't have a land connection for people to just pour over the border. So we fly them in. They don't even talk to a person when they declare asylum. They download something on an app, they check a box, and bam, they're here for 2 years using our social services before they even get a hearing. That's what's going on here. Like, I really wish people would wake up to it, but some people are going to take longer to come around to that conclusion.
All right. Well, we have Alex here. Hey, buddy, listening to your December 4th podcast, I'm seriously fed up with Ukraine. And why are we still sending millions overseas when people here are using food banks, can't afford housing, and healthcare is a mess? That money should be going to the provinces for healthcare, not leaving the country. I don't get how anyone still supports a Liberal government. As for the Algoma workers, I'm sorry, but I have zero sympathy. They voted Liberal, ignored the warnings, and now they've lost their jobs. They fucked around and found out. I don't feel bad for them at all. They got what they voted for.
I mean, I do feel bad for them because I don't wish that on anybody. I lost my job last year, 3 weeks before Christmas. I know exactly what those Algoma workers are going through. Now, I bounced back, but it's tough when you're working in Sault Ste. Marie and you've done steel work all your life, and now the steel plant is getting rid of people. Then what do? The entire town's only like 73,000 people. Like, there's not a ton of jobs there to begin with. These people have to move their entire life. To go back and say, well, we told you, and you still voted Liberal anyway, so you deserve it. I don't believe that. I think people are people and no Canadian left behind. Anybody who needs the help should get the help, I believe. So I'm not going to criticize someone or take a victory lap or say, I told you so, or anything like that. I just want to see those people prosper and get into a good situation going forward. But there is a lesson to be learned here for people who did vote Liberal, that this is the consequence of doing that. You saw it for 10 years. You got temporarily brainwashed into thinking a new guy would mean a different government, but it is the same government, and they prove that every single day. It's not Trudeau, it's Carney, but it's the exact same people behind him, and all of the policies are in lockstep, with the exception of the pipeline thing. Trudeau never would have done that. But that's part of the reason that Carney is facing a backlash in his own caucus. There's a lot of Liberals that are hopping mad, like pissed right off that Carney is abandoning, in their estimation, some of the environmental ideology that they thought he subscribed to. I've got news for those Liberals. He still subscribes to it. The only thing he cares more about is money, and he's trying to make himself money. So you shouldn't be surprised. It was always going to go this way, but you can sleep soundly knowing that pipeline will never get built anyway. He has set it up in a way that he authorized it, but it'll never get done. So don't worry about it. Stop your pissing and moaning. Enjoy your perks. We're having an election in early April, and then you're going to be unemployed.
Okay. Jordan.
Those are the Canadians I'd like to see unemployed.
Okay.
Anyone who is sitting on that side of the House of Commons cheering on this nonsense that's happening around us like it's a good thing, and then lying to us to tell us we are bad people if we disagree with them. Those are the people I want to see lose their job.
Well, Jordan writes, hey, Scott, I've shared your podcast to many friends who are liberal and conservative, and it started to wake people up. I think we have finally found a voice that isn't hostile. I think we finally have a voice in Canada that isn't hostile, but it is reasonable, well-intentioned. It is reasonable, well-intentioned, and thought out. You got the secret sauce, Scott. So you have the voice that people have been looking for, is basically what Jordan is saying. So it's great. It's reasonable reasonable and thoughtful.
Okay, well, thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that, and I know she's a longtime listener as well, so great. I do want to say here, though, that from time to time I do get hot, and I try not to do that. I try to be as reasonable and down the middle and common sense as I can, and I truly believe in the middle class of this country, the hardworking people that go to work every day. They pay their taxes. They want to raise their family in nice communities. They want some cars in the driveway. They want to take a vacation every year. They're not asking for much. They just want their dollar, the dollars they earn, to be enough to live a comfortable life. Those are the people that I care about in this country. Sometimes, because I see people in government abuse their trust and abuse these people and take more of their money than they should, I get angry about that. Please don't mistake that for me being hostile, for me being negative. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just trying to get the best result possible for the Canadian people. So again, sometimes I get hot, and don't play people that example when you're trying to convince them to listen to the pod, because 90% of the time I do try and be reasonable. I am so open to other perspectives. If somebody could come to me and give me a great, compelling, well thought out, common sense argument for why open borders is a smart policy and why Canada needs it, I'll hear you out. Whether I agree or disagree, I'll thank you for the conversation. But I haven't heard a good argument for that. And when Canadians are being abused and taken care of, somebody's got to stand up, because the politicians can only do so much, and they don't have enough votes in the House to change anything anyway. So it starts at changing public opinion. And that starts with informing people. People will come to their own conclusion if you just show them the facts. And here's the facts. 2 million people going to food banks, 12 hours to get into an emergency room, millions of Canadians that don't have a family doctor. It makes no sense to keep importing these people, especially for corporations that are lying, saying they can't find a single Canadian to make burgers at McDonald's in Toronto. So they need a temporary foreign worker to come in and do it. It's nonsense. That's abuse of the Canadian people, and I will always call that out.
And that's why Jordan says, I think we finally have a voice in Canada that isn't hostile, but is reasonable with well-intentioned and well thought out.
Okay, so sometimes I sound hostile, but I'm definitely not. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate that.
So Jesse writes, hey, great episode today, Scott. Danielle Smith has been interesting lately. I was a bit upset last week, but after hearing her speak, it feels like she's trying to box Mark Carney in politically. I think she's pro-Canada and wants to avoid separation, but she's not stopping the movement. She's holding it back like a dog on a leash. I feel like she's waiting for the PM to make his move, and if he keeps lying, she'll let the
release the hounds.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And then there was something in her voice too, like she was caught between laughing and crying. Makes me wonder if she's on edge because she's making a huge career gamble and going all in.
She is. Danielle Smith is in a very difficult position. I talk to my Alberta listeners a lot via DM, and they see it too. Danielle Smith sold out Albertans. I said that 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. She sold you out. She committed you to an increased carbon tax. She gave credibility to the whole concept of a carbon tax. She's still entertaining this crazy notion of carbon capture, which is stupid. She's still into this stuff, and I think that is the wrong way for Danielle Smith to go. What this person here is suggesting is that it's a strategy. She'll go along with it for now to get the deal done and to get Carney to agree to let them increase the amount of oil that goes through the TMX pipeline, maybe restart Keystone XL and stuff like that. She needed to placate Mark Carney to get those other things to happen. But at the end of the day, she doesn't actually believe those things, and the whole thing's going to fall apart anyway. That's what this person is suggesting, that Danielle Smith doesn't actually believe what she signed in that MOU. She knows that this is just a strategy to trap Carney. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I know that she is an incredibly intelligent politician and person. If this is some sort of a strategy, like she's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, okay, I'll give her a little bit of rope. And I always do, because I think she's earned it as a premier in Canada. But she's got a real short rope. Any politician who not only agrees to a carbon tax, but agrees to an increase in the carbon tax under the circumstances that Canadians find themselves in, I don't think they deserve re-election. Danielle might be the exception to the rule if it turns out there's some strategy here. Danielle is, I believe, a patriot. I think she does want Canada to remain Canada, but she knows that that's a real growing and rapidly growing separatist movement that she's got to keep at bay there in Alberta. And if Carney screws this up, not even Danielle Smith can stop it. They're going to get their way, and we may be dealing with an Alberta separation. It's just the way it is. Carney's got to play his cards right just as much as Danielle Smith does. Danielle was wrong on the carbon tax, but if this is part of an overall strategy to get something else, hey, everybody's going to fixate on this, and they didn't notice that I slipped that in. That sort of thing. I'm willing to hear her out, but she's got a real short rope with me.
Well, somebody else thinks that she's playing a game too. Scott writes, "Hey, Scott, I know you're disappointed in Danielle Smith, but maybe she agreed to this large increase in carbon tax because she knows this government will fall and Pierre will be the next prime minister and he will ask the carbon tax, the carbon tax completely, which would make Danielle Smith a deal that would be amazing for Alberta. Just my opinion. Hopefully she won't have to pay any of that carbon tax."
I hope Albertans don't. I hope that what Danielle Smith committed Albertans to never actually happens. If it's a strategy, great. I'll applaud her. I will give the standing ovation. I will give all credit where credit is due. But right now, looking at just what's on paper, she committed Alberta to a massive increase in carbon taxes, and I will never get behind that. I believe you cannot change the weather by paying more in taxes. That's the end of it. That's the argument. Pay more and we can change the weather. That's just not true. It's not based in science. So if Danielle believes that, then I have a problem with Danielle. If there's a strategy here or she's banking on, Carney's done in April. He won't be our prime minister by Mother's Day. It's entirely possible, by the way. If that's what she's banking on, I'll give her some room here. Let's see where it goes. But right now, as it is, calling him the way I see him, being fair, I'll call out conservative politicians too. She should have never done that with the carbon tax. That's where I'm at now, but that may evolve.